Today, we have more off-season rumors for you. Bleacher Report put out their big boards for each team. So we're going to go over who they think are the top 3 free agent targets the Warriors should get. And they're people that we haven't talked about on this channel yet, or I've seen in the comments. So this should be a fun video to see what BR thinks, why they think that, and what we think is a good fit, yes or no. Randy Silver here. Before we get in the video, please take a look at this. 8% of the people who watch our videos daily are subscribed. Thank you. And if you're not, smash that button so you support us and you don't miss any of the updates daily that come from Warriors Digest. Let's get into it. BR top 3 free agents. So we're going to go over the 3 free agents, starting with the 3rd, 2nd, and then their top free agent for the Warriors. We'll dive into their stats, their fit, salary, and everything you need to know so we can decide if it's a good or bad signing. So here's their 3rd signing. The first one we go over, 3rd on their list. Monte Morris, Minnesota Timberwolves. So why is he a good fit? As we know, a backup point guard for Steph Curry is vital. The plus-minus minutes of Curry on the court are always significantly better than him off the court. That's why Chris Paul coming in this season was so big. He came in and stabilized that second team and made them productive. Not just productive, they're helping us not just stay in games, take points, get ahead in games, push out the lead, cut the lead down when Steph Curry could get a rest. Look at this. This past season, there wasn't much of a difference for Golden State with Curry on the court, plus 2.7 per 100 possessions, or without, plus 1.4. Normally, we're negative, and that goes down to Chris Paul. And again, I love Chris Paul, but he's owed $30 million. We're not going to be able to re-sign him at that deal if we want to do anything this offseason. I'm sure he knows that. Warriors know that. Everything we talk about on this channel, we showed you the videos, the clips, the highlights. They want to bring him back, but not at $30 million. So you have to let him go. If you can get Chris Paul for $5-10 million and want to be a backup again when he hasn't backed up his whole career, he was a starter for all 20 seasons, then great. You bring him back, it works, team chemistry, we're good. If not, Morris could be a solid option. Monte Morris, in his point guard-esque ball control, just like Chris Paul, has a career 3.8 assists against 0.8 turnovers, which is big. Big for the Warriors. What does that mean? Basically, for every 4 assists he gets, he turns over the ball once. Not bad for a point guard who's controlling the ball every possession. He's too small to play in a lineup with Steph Curry. He's only 6'2", 183. So he'd have to be like Chris Paul. Chris Paul, Curry played a little bit in the 4th quarter together because of their experience, and it allowed Chris Paul to handle the ball. Steph Curry could do screens off of Clay, could do them off of Looney, Trae Jackson Davis, and he didn't have to control the ball every possession, which helped him out. Draymond, of course, as well. But in this case, if you have Brandon, who's 6'4", Steph, who's 6'3", and then a 6'2" point guard all together, especially the 4th quarter, you're going to get beat in size, so that can't help. So let's dive into Monte Morris. 6'2", 183. He was a 2nd-round pick, the 51st pick, 2017 draft to Denver. Went to Iowa State. He's played with 4 different teams: Denver, Washington, Detroit, Minnesota. He was traded this year in the middle of the year from Detroit to Minnesota. You can see he did not start any games this season. The last time he started was with Washington, and he started 61 games. Before that, with Denver, he started 74 games. So he has quality starting experience. Obviously, it's dwindled as of late. His points have gone down as he hasn't started. You can see he only averaged 5.1 points. He's in the playoffs right now with Minnesota as well. He's backing up Mike Conley Jr. He's not really playing a lot. As you know, in the playoffs, benches get much shorter. What I love to see, though, again, we talked about assists. When he was starting, he was averaging 4 or 5 assists in that area. This season, only 2.3. The last stat we did not talk about, we look at 3-point shooting in the Warriors offense. He shot 42% this year. Didn't take that many threes when he was starting. He was around 40%. So it can come in, make some threes for us, and help out the offense. So he has opportunity to dish the ball. Get it out to a sharpshooter if Clay comes back. Any of the free agents we've talked about. Get it to Kuminga, Moody, Brandon. But again, those are starters. So how does he get to control the second team? Well, if he's getting 15 minutes with Minnesota this season when he was starting, he was around 30 minutes. He'll probably play as a backup point guard 15, 20 minutes in the regular season and around there. If you can get 4 or 5 assists, that's really good. and they'll be able to distribute the ball out to our role players on that team. If Curry's hurt or he needs a break, he can come in and start. He's proven he can do it. In terms of salary, how does it work? Obviously, as a bench player, he's not getting the same type of starting money he was earlier in his career. So you can see what he's got. He's earned $32 million as an NBA player. Not bad at all. So then the question is, as a backup point guard, what does he come in at? 3-4 million maybe? And again, it comes down to this. You look here, if we don't re-sign Chris Paul, that gives us $30 million to play with. If we do re-sign Clay, say it's around 10 million, 15 million, then you have another $15 million to play with. You don't sign Morris if you have Chris Paul. So that $30 million is gone, and that's what we can play with here and bring in a couple players. So question 1, Morris, a good backup point guard? Yes or no? I give a thumbs up. If you don't sign Chris Paul, can be a solid backup point guard. Okay, now we're on to number 2. The second player BR thinks would be a good fit, Cedi Osman, currently with the San Antonio Spurs. You need players in the Warriors offense who are good at moving with or without the ball. It's a very heavily motion offense. We've seen that in the prime, in our 2014 to 2019, the title run. That's what's made us what we were, and that's why the league absolutely got destroyed. And you see that nowadays with positionless offense. And Osman fits this build. He's able to be that type of player. His minutes have steadily declined over the past 5 years. He bottomed out at 17.6 minutes this season, fewest he's logged since his rookie season. He's a little bit limited on defense, and that might be a reason why he's not playing as much, which for Warriors, that's not good. We know we got blown up on defense many times. We could not stop teams. Teams were able to shoot the 3 at the best of any point in their season against us. Teams were able to get to the bucket. So we need people who can guard perimeter and in the paint. Maybe he'd be open to signing for a veteran minimum. It could help us on the bench if the Spurs don't want to re-sign him. But the fact that defense isn't his skill set is a worry. So let's look at him. He's 6'7", 230. Sixth season, he was a second-round pick, 31st with Minnesota. So he has good size, right around that Kuminga range, right around Draymond. But again, we need size. We have those type of guards. We need size in the paint. We look at his stats. He's played with Cleveland, San Antonio. He only started 3 games a season. But I would love to see he's playing basically 60-plus games every season. That means coaches trust him on the floor when they have nothing else to do. But he has some playoff experience by being with Cleveland in 2017, 2018. You look at his points, it's declined again year over year since he peaked at 13 points. We look at his shooting, 3-point, a little bit lower than 40%. He's about 45, 50% from field goal. He still has some tread on his tires because he hasn't played as much, but I just don't think he's going to be a good fit. We have this type of player. Maybe he backs up Kuminga, but I just don't think it's a good fit. We look at his salary. He's made $40 million in the NBA. Average NBA players, man. You probably get him maybe at $1 to $4 million. Maybe you take him as a flyer as a summer league team, see how he does during training camp type of vibe. But probably not my fit. I think we have players already on the team who would do better than him. And that takes you to who BR thinks is a top player in this free agency for the Warriors. Goga Bitadze, Orlando Magic. Was this who you thought? Probably not. Maybe from the thumbnail if you knew him. Fair enough. Not a big name, but versatile and would be a big help for the Warriors because he fits a lot of the boxes. And this is why. 6'11", 250, say less. Instantly becomes the tallest player on this team, and he's a traditional big man. He does what we need. Protect the paint, clean the glass, and free up perimeter scorers with solid screens. Great. Can come in like TJD, like Looney, set the pick, get Curry open for the 3, crash the boards, be able to be a shot blocker, intimidating in the paint. He didn't play a lot with the Magic. His per 36-minute average of 11 points, basically 12, on the career high 60% shooting, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks per Basketball Reference speak about his interior activity and solid feel for the game. Takes you back to our Bogut days. We haven't really had a true big man since then. Everything's been more versatile, like Kevin Durant. Looney is a big man, but he's a little bit more athletic than just a guy in the middle of the paint Will get you rebounds, get you some easy buckets when you drop it to him, and be a enforcer on defense. So I think this makes him a very good fit. Now the question is, how can we afford him, and what does that look like? As we already said, he's 6'10", 250. He was a round 1 pick by Indiana with the 18th pick. He's played only with the Pacers and the Magic. He got some playoff experience this season. Started 33 games. You can see he's played basically 45, 50 games each season, besides for 2 where he was relatively injured. So if he's healthy, he can produce. Well, I'd love to see the rebounds, 4 or 5 a game, blocks around 1 a game, so comes in and help. He's not going to be that 3-point shooter. He's not going to be a field goal shooter. He's going to be in the paint and get you those points. You know, I've talked about on this channel, I would love to have a big man like Brook Lopez, Robin Lopez, people that can get outside the paint and shoot, but also they can block. We talked about Nick Claxton. He's this type of player. Nick Claxton's probably going to be way too expensive for us, so he could become a much cheaper avenue for us to be able to get. We see here he's made $16 million in his career. Right now he's on a $2 million contract. Becomes a free agent. Would not be surprised if he's around the $1 million to $5 million range in that area. You probably still have Trace Jackson Davis as your starting center. And then boom, he can come in and be able to be your backup. Does this mean that you potentially trade Looney? You can get some draft picks back. Maybe you get back a shooter, and he can come in and be that focal point. Also, depending on teams you play, such as Rudy Gobert, Jokic, maybe he can come in and be a starter in those games because he's a bigger body and can handle those types of plays. So then it goes back to the 3 people that BR thinks Warriors should get: Monte Morris, Cedi Osman, Goga Bitadze. So let me know your thoughts. Which one do you think is the best, the worst, all of them, none of them, everything in between? And continue to stay here on Warriors Digest because we break down all the biggest Warriors news, rumors, and stories for you daily. Out.